What an odd story, or an odd object, I should say. Now, I'm having to sit on the ground to do this because of how low that right there is. That right there says Fisk metallic coffins. Now, I did a video, and I just released it early this week, and or late last week, depending on when you're watching this, in which I highlighted several different stones. And on this one, I thought maybe this is when the metal caskets first coming out, you know, like we have now with the sheet metal type coffins and caskets and such. So it must have been a rarity, or else they wouldn't have put that on there. I was incorrect as to what it actually is. A Fisk metal coffin was a cast iron coffin. And I will dig up some pictures and post it at the end of this video as to what they look like. They were airtight. They were shaped like an Egyptian sarcophagus. You know, they put the mummies in, and you know, and they're all like this in there, and it's really kind of a creepy looking thing. And at where the head is at, there's glass right there that's covered, where you can open it up and see the individual in the casket. The ideal being that if you died, because it's airtight, if you died, say, in New York and needed to be shipped to Atlanta, that it wouldn't be such a stinky affair. Because you got to remember, back then, I don't think they had embalming, and if they did, it certainly was not a widespread practice. So a lot of times people were just buried where they died at for convenience, and for the fact that, like I said, that became a stinky affair. Now, Mr. Fisk patented that coffin in 1848. The individual buried, I decided to stand up. So the individual buried here was buried 1852, which had been 4 years after the patent come out. Now, these were very, very expensive caskets. Only the wealthy could afford them. They cost about they could cost up to $100 a piece. Now, nowadays, that don't seem like hardly anything. But back then, a casket cost between $1.50 and $2 a piece. It's very, very interesting and heavy. Can you imagine how heavy that thing was? It's cast iron, like I said. Cast iron ain't light. Unfortunately, Mr. Fisk died when his factory burnt down that he made these coffins in. Just really a few years after he got started on it. I do mean a very few years. The coffins were handy for transporting bodies during the Civil War, but that, again, would only be something the wealthy could afford. So it wasn't like Army protocol to use these airtight coffins. So he died in this factory that burnt down. And, you know, the ironic thing is they don't know if he was buried in one of his own coffins or not. So the place basically ended up going out of business around 1870. It had a good run for a while, but coffins were very, very expensive.
Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.
And when you subscribe, there will be a bell that'll show up on the right-hand side of the screen. Hit that and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you.